What's going on, ballers? Thanks so much for tuning in again, and welcome back to another BigJBasketball box break video. Today we're not breaking any boxes because we got something special planned. I've had multiple requests to do a top 10 cards in my PC video, and so I thought this would be a good time to put one of these together. Just a couple quick things to mention before we go through this. I don't want to make this like a big show-off video saying like how awesome and expensive my cards are and blah, blah, blah. It's really important to never compare your collection to anybody else's. Trust me when I say I go on Instagram every single day and see probably hundreds of people with cards that I'll never be able to obtain or afford or anything like that. So it's always important to just collect what you like. Try not to compare your collections to other people and just kind of enjoy all the cool cards that are out there. I actually did make one of these videos back in December of 2020, and oh man, it is pretty funny. It's interesting to see what cards were in that video back almost 3 years ago. So December 2020, so over 2.5 years ago. Market was a lot different. Card pricing was a lot different. So actually, if you check down below here in the description of this video, and also there's gonna be a pinned comment with a link to the top 10 most valuable cards in my PC from December of 2020. Highly recommend checking that one out before this one so you can see how different things were back then. It was pretty interesting to see. Okay, but having said that, let's start looking at the cards. And of course, instead of having the just 10, I had to throw in some honorable mentions. So a few honorable mentions we got here. Got a Shaq 1-of-1 auto. This is the very first 1-of-1 I've ever pulled. Opened a hobby box of 2017 Essentials, like years after release. I think I opened it in 2020 or something like that. 1-of-1 pack pulled. This was a PSA 8 when I first graded it, and I did not see how PSA thought it was an 8, so I sent it to BGS. Unfortunately, got a 9 on the auto grade because it is a tiny bit off sticker at the top there. But the subgrades, 9.5, 9.5, 9, and 8.5. So there wasn't even one subgrade that was an 8, so I'm not sure how PSA thought this was an 8. As far in terms of value, I don't really know how to value this. It's a 1-of-1 auto. Recently, I did see a Shaq 1-of-1 auto from Contenders. It was a gold shimmer, sell for a little over $700. That one was on card. This one maybe not as much. I don't know, maybe $500-600 range, something like that. But Shaq 1-of-1 auto. Good honorable mention there. Another one, Alonzo Mourning. Exquisite Noble nameplates autograph. This is probably my most valuable Alonzo Mourning card. He didn't have anything else that was valuable enough to to make it into the top 10, even though it's one of my main PC guys. So the funny thing about this card, this actually sold this exact card raw. I graded it after I bought it, or traded for it actually. This sold for $921 on eBay in 2021. Obviously, prices have come down a lot since then. I saw another card in this same set that was a BGS 9 sell for $530 recently. This is a 7.5. I don't think grade matters a whole lot on that card. I'm sure a 9 is going to hold some type of premium over 7.5. But this Noble nameplate set is a really cool set. It's got the piece of the O from Mourning on the back of the Heat's jersey. Or maybe it's the U, M-O-U. Could be the O or the U. I think it's the O. On-card autograph, got a 10 on the auto grade. Very cool. Love Exquisite. Next one, had to throw a Denny in here. This is by far my most valuable Denny card, PSA 10 Kaboom rookie. I bought this raw on eBay for like $140 maybe. Graded it, got a PSA 10, and now it's like a $450, $500 card. I think the most recent sale was around $450. So definitely my most valuable Denny card. Now, I don't think I even made it clear at the beginning. This isn't like the top 10 favorite or, some sort of abstract list. This is going strictly by value, the top 10, which we're going to get into in just a second. Had to throw a Ginobili in here as well. Again, he didn't have any cards in my PC that cracked the top 10 in terms of value, so I wanted to make sure I showed this one off. Kaboom SGC 10. This is the only SGC 10 of this card. It's a pop 1. There's no PSA 10s and only a few BGS 9.5. So this is really like the highest graded example of this card. This was one of the most expensive cards I ever bought at the time in January of 2022. So about a year and a half ago, I paid $809 for this on eBay. I don't think it's really worth that quite as much anymore. I've seen PSA 9s go in the $600 range. So SGC 10 should hold a bit of a premium over PSA 9. I thought about cracking and subbing this to PSA, but I don't think it's going to get a 10. You can see in this bottom corner, there's definitely, well, maybe it's hard to see on the video, but there is a little bit of white down there. And I wonder if I tried cracking this and sending it, even on the top left, there might be a tiny bit of white right there. Really hard to see. I've thought about cracking this and sending it in, but being there's no PSA 10s, I'd almost certainly get a 9 on this if I sent it in. So I'll keep that one in the SGC case for now. And then kind of an interesting one, not really a PC card. I pulled this recently and I'm holding on to it for a little bit, from a Chronicles Hobby Box, Paolo jersey number rookie from Titanium, 3 of 5. I don't really know how to value this. Paolo has a lot of different cards numbered to 5, but obviously some are a lot more sought after and than others. This is a really sought after set. The closest comp I think I could find was I saw a Scotty Barnes from the previous year, numbered to 4, sold for over $1,000. So I'm sure Paolo's stuff sells a lot more than Scotty Barnes. I don't know if necessarily think this is a $1,000 card, but it's probably pretty close. I'm not sure if I'll move it yet, but I'm going to hold on to it for at least a little bit. So those are our first 5 honorable mentions. So now we're going to get into the big time stuff, top 10 here. So first card on the top 10 is a Kobe PSA 8 Finest Gold rookie with the coating still on it. This was actually an honorable mention in the top 10 the last time I did it. It was raw back then. I hadn't graded it. That's the other interesting thing. Most of these cards you're going to see are PSA graded in this list, whereas most of the list from 2.5 years ago was mostly raw cards. This PSA, when it was raw, it was about a $400 or so card at the time back then. But looks like prices have been trending up. I've seen sales in $500-600 range, but the last 2 sales very recently in the last month or 2, both of these sold for $900. And this is a PSA 8, but I will say it's a little bit, got a little bit of a greening problem. Kobe's kind of turning a little bit green in some areas, but this card is dead centered all the way around. Maybe a tiny bit skinny on the right compared to the left. Centering problems were a huge, or centering issues were a huge problem on this card. So I think the fact that this one is very well centered is very nice. Should be close to that $900 value that some recent sales have been. This one is a new one that was not in the last video I did with the top 10. LeBron Upper Deck rookie PSA 10. I actually had this raw at the time that I did that video, but I just never graded it. It just kind of sat in a one touch for a long time. And one day I said, you know what? This card looks great. I might as well just grade it. I'm glad I did. It got a PSA 10. Last sale I could find for this was $1,200. I think that might be a little high. I've seen prices fluctuate anywhere from like $800 to the $1,000 range. So I think it's probably more of where it sits right now, but every once in a while there are some really, really good sales. Like I said, $1,200 was the most recent one. Now we got Kobe auto. On-card auto. I mean, I guess I'll call it on-card. It's from Clear Vision. So I think what they did was they probably had like a big sheet of this kind of plastic acetate sort of thing. He probably signed a bunch of times on that sheet. They cut it up and put it in the card, but it's not a sticker. It definitely looks a lot better than a sticker auto to me. It looks basically like an on-card auto. This one's numbered out of 119, and it's graded a mint 9 with an auto 10. So I had this in my top 10 last time, but it was not graded back then. In terms of value, I did see a PSA, I think it was a PSA 8, sold for around $1,300 and didn't have a grade on the auto. So this is a mint 9 with an auto 10. That probably brings the value up a little bit more than that $1,300 range, but very nice card there. You'll see some more Kobe autos coming up later here. John Wallace. So of all my PC guys, Alonzo Mourning, Manu Ginobili, Denny Avdia, the only one who had a card that was valuable enough that I also PC as a player, except for Kobe, and I do have a lot of Kobe cards. But in terms of like obscure PC players, this Precious Metal Gems Red, PMG Red, numbered out of 100, 46 out of 100. This card speaks for itself. It's a PSA 5. I don't think anyone really cares about grade on these cards as long as they're authentic. PSA grades really harshly on these. The edges and corners, a lot of foil chipping and things like that, but still, it looks better than a 5 to me. You would think getting a PSA 5, the card would look just mangled, you know, completely. This one actually looks pretty good, has really nice eye appeal, so the gray doesn't bother me at all. In terms of value, most recent sale on this, there was a BGS 8 that sold back in November of 2022 for about $1,200. But again, a BGS 8 PSA 5, I don't think there's going to be much difference in terms of value, maybe a little bit, but this should still be over a $1,000 card for sure. All right, next one, we got Giannis. This was a card, I actually bought the redemption of this. You can see it's got the Panini seal on it, so this came to me as a redemption from 2018-19 Immaculate Premium Patch Autographs Red, 3-color patch, numbered to 25. Really cool card. I think I paid like $300 for the redemption. And so once I redeemed it, came in, Giannis ended up, I think before I bought this, I'm not sure if he even won an MVP yet. He may have had one MVP, but he definitely didn't win the title yet, but when I bought this. So his stuff is up, you know, it's down recently, but it's definitely up from where it was back when I bought this. Most recent sale I could find of this one was, I think just a few weeks ago, and it sold for over $1,300. So that's where I'd put the value on that Giannis right there. All right, we got 5 down, 5 more to go. Kaboom. So we saw some Kabooms in the honorable mentions, and you're going to see a few more of these in the top 5. Talked a lot about these cards in the past. I put the entire 2013 Kaboom set together. Probably the best decision I made in terms of what I bought the cards for and what they're worth now. I bought every single card from this set raw, 20 cards in the set. I bought them on eBay in like the summer of 2020. I probably paid about $2,000 total for all 20 cards in the set. They're all PSA graded now, and they're definitely worth a lot more than what I paid for them. So that's one set I'm going to keep together for a very long time. I kind of was hoping this one would have gotten a PSA 9 when I graded it. I know there was some chipping around the edges and bottom corners, but the front looked great. Great eye appeal on the card, so PSA doesn't take away from it too much. Last PSA 8 of this card that sold, I think a couple months ago, for $1,575. So definitely over a $1,500 card. I think though at one point a PSA 8 probably was like a $2,500, $3,000 card, just maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. But still a very valuable card, and again, way more than I paid for it. I think I paid like $400 for this raw. So good purchase there. Another Kobe auto. Again, with the Kobe autos, I got pretty lucky. I'll show off this other one. Again, the Clear Vision. I bought this before he passed, like at the end of 2019 for like $90. And this was like $100. The Kobe autos were not expensive. He was signing a lot when he was still alive. Obviously, clearly not signing anymore. But he's still got a lot of autos out there. I think if he had never passed, his autos would not be worth nearly what they are now, because I'm sure he was a Panini brand ambassador. He would still be signing a lot. But got this one for really cheap. Obviously, his prices went crazy. This is the pink parallel, numbered 20 out of 25. And again, same grade, mint 9, auto 10. Most recent sale I could find of this was not in this grade. It was, I think this was a redemption when it was in these status packs. It was a sealed copy with the Panini seal still on the top. Sold for about $1,600. Mint 9, auto 10 probably would sell for a little bit more than a sealed copy, just because it's graded and it's got the 10 auto grade, but probably somewhere in that range. All right, top 3 cards now. These are the big boys. Kobe, Kaboom, PSA mint 9. Was really happy with the grade on this one. I knew it was going to be really tough to get a 10 when I sent this in. It looked pretty close to perfect. Again, it's hard to see in the slab with all the plastic around it, but a little bit of white on the corners on the back probably brought this grade down to a 9. Bought this raw on eBay back in 2020 for I think like $600 raw. As a PSA 9, at its peak, this was a monster card. I think there were sales in like the $4,000 or $5,000 range. Right now, I think the most recent sale back in November of 2022 was $2,009 for a PSA 9. So that's the most recent sale we have on this one. No other PSA 9s have sold since then, so probably somewhere in the same price range on that one. 2 more cards. It's my last Kobe auto, my favorite Kobe auto. Select on card. I love the photo on here. I like the old Kobe photos where he's wearing the number 8 jersey. And one of the things I really like about this one is this photo was taken when he was in his, they called it his sneaker free agency year. He was in between sneaker brands. He left Adidas, but he hadn't signed with Nike yet. And all that season, he wore like the craziest custom Jordans and Adidas and Nike and all kinds of cool stuff. And this photo, you can see he's wearing his Jordan 8s with the Lakers color blocking on it. Just, I love those shoes. I love the photo, love the auto on it. Serial number to 99. I thought this card looked so clean. I thought it had a really good chance to get dual 10s, gem mint 10 on the auto, on the card grade, and a 10 for the auto. Fortunately, still got a mint 9, auto 10, but still really nice card. Last sale I could find for this one was $2,500, and that was for a mint 9 with no auto grade. So I think the auto 10 grade probably bumps it up a little bit, but probably somewhere in that range would be where that card is. And the final card in the top 10, Steph Curry Kaboom PSA 10. Out of all the Kabooms I bought raw on eBay, none of them gemmed except for this one. Every single other card got, I got mostly 8s, got a few 9s. I think I got 1 7, but the only 10 was Curry. Definitely one of the best ones in the set to get a 10. I think either the LeBron or the Kobe would have been just as nice to get a 10. This card at its peak sold for $11,000 through PWCC. I think someone had it in their vault and someone bought it for 11 grand at the peak. Obviously, pricing is pretty significantly down since then, but still the last sale was in December of 2022, so about 8 months ago or so. Sold for $4,400. Have not seen one of these sell since then. Don't know if the price is going up or down on these, but PSA 10, first year Kaboom, can't go wrong with this. And again, I actually had this card in my possession and it did not even make the cut for the top 10 last time I did this because it hadn't been graded. I bought this raw on eBay for $130. I think the raw prices at the time I did my last video, it started to spike, but I hadn't graded it yet, so it wasn't worth a ton. Once I graded it, value shot up a ton on this one. I said $4,400 was the last sale. I'm not planning on selling this anytime soon, so I don't know what it would cost, what it would sell for if I sold it now. But that's going to do it. So we had our 5 honorable mentions and then our top 10 most valuable cards in my PC. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one.